So now we're going to take a look at one of the more complicated pieces of the Android OS, which is the application lifecycle. I'm going to try and break this down as simply as possible, and the first thing that we're going to look at is a task. A task is basically nothing more than activities, which we had talked about before, that are arranged in a stack. So as activities are pushed onto that stack, it'll be a last in, first out type of arrangement where activities will go on top of each other, and that will compose a task. So a good example of this would be if we go into the Gmail application and then we select a contact. Now the Gmail application and the contacts application are two separate applications. But remember, I talked about how each application is split into different activities. So if we're at the Gmail application and we're in the mail message activity and we click on the contact that is the from of that email message, it's going to take us into the contact application and show that page in that contact application for that contact. What's going to happen there is that Gmail will still be on the stack. The mail message will be the first thing on the bottom of the stack, and then a new activity will come on top of the stack, and that new activity will be that contact's details. One important concept to understand here is that when we launch an application, it starts a new task. When we first launch an application from our home screen, it becomes that root of the task. And as we said before, the new activities get pushed on top of the task stack as you navigate through that application and perhaps not even knowing it, go through different applications. Each one of those activities becomes a task that is on that stack that is rooted to the root task, basically. And that's the default behavior. This can be changed, of course. You can make it so that it interacts in different ways, but it's really important that we understand this basic behavior because it's going to drive most of our application development and understanding of why do things happen this way. What is the flow of the application? Applications in Android are run in their own process. Don't get confused here between process and task. Task is a set of activities that the user navigates from, and they're set in a stack. A process is the actual application. So a task may span multiple processes because it may use activities from different applications. So this is a pretty important concept to understand here. Process does not equal task. Android is going to manage memory, which is something that you may not be familiar with if you haven't developed for a mobile OS. The only way it's going to be able to do this without the user interacting is to have some kind of smart algorithm to know when do I kill applications. It prioritizes the processes and decides which one is least important at this point, basically the one that's not likely to be seen or used by the user, and it will kill that one if it needs memory. And remember how we had said that tasks and processes are very different. So what can happen is we can have a task or an activity that's in a task that belongs to a process that gets killed. So that task stack may have your Gmail application message and it may have your contacts, but when you go to contacts or you go somewhere else from contacts, it may need to kill that process that was running Gmail. So this could be a big uh-oh for us if we haven't thought about this. So one thing that we're going to have to be careful of in our applications is that we properly manage state. Since our application process can be killed at any time, we need to be able to save the state and restore the state. So let me go through a quick example here of a task stack. So if we use our Gmail application again and look at this lovely email from David Starr, I talked about clicking. If we click on him, the contact application should open up. So now we're in a different application. So on our stack, at the bottom of our stack is that mail message. Next in the stack is the contact activity that shows the contact screen. Then if we click on his bio here, his picture, we're going to actually get to this screen that's going to show us Twitter. We've launched the Twitter application. So now on our stack is the Gmail message, followed by an activity that's from the contact application, and then on top of that is actually the Twitter profile from the Twitter application. Now, if we hit the back button on our phone, that will pop off the stack, and now we're back at the contact, and we hit back again, and we're back at the mail message. An important thing to notice here is that this stack is independent of the processes. So what I mean by that is if we were now to go into our Twitter application and launch it, it would not be at David Starr's profile screen. It would take us into the default page that starts up with Twitter. So that stack is really managing the state independently of the process that is each application.